It's all on fire. I'm helping.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was about to bring that up.
I'm helping.
Chat has another question.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Who is your favorite red shirt NPC?
They've changed, grown, maybe a little bit of, this and that. Funny stories, favorite memories from season 2, that kind of thing. And I think we'll start with a bit of a small synopsis of the history of the Fire Shrike, in the sense that when we started season 2, we found the crew working for a very nefarious cybernetic genius known as Dr. Ernebron Talent, the former professor of Shabah, who we'll talk to in a few minutes, who was apparently working with terrorists, and they found out he was working with a corporation, and they answer this real quick. They started off with the idea was the Fire Shrike has become known as terrorists because they were feuding with another terrorist organization. They are space pirates belonging to the Free Captains. They do have 2 ships, and they are fairly notorious. So the deal was that the professor, the Dr. Ernebron Talent, was going to help them with their reputation and their legal problems if they did a few jobs for him. So the beginning of season 2 started with the crew working for this guy, based off of a ship called the Shadow of Ever, which is sort of their port of call where they went to get missions and information, and even sometimes go and utilize the medical labs and the science labs and stuff for various projects and what have you. Picked up a couple of mission specialists here and there. We also saw them do a couple of jobs, a massive, big ass battle with a group of mad cultists known as the Blood Accretion, who are nihilists. They went back to the Pact Worlds, did a little bit of hanging out on Broken Rock there, where they picked up a former pop star from Castrovel named Ezzy Soraval. And came back to the when they came back to the Tabori cluster and the surrounding systems. They found that they woke up on their ship on a planet, and they don't exactly remember landing or anything about it, where they meet a man named Tavis Deme, who joins the party, the crew, more or less, and kind of a there's always the question, is he a prisoner? Is he a member of the crew? Is he a little of both? You don't know. The crew sallied forth to go on to, they went and they found an operative named Rex Tolak, and they performed surgery on him, only to find that a device that was supposed to be planted in his head hadn't been, and planted a new device in his head that wasn't there before. In the meantime, Slef Slef found out that Dr. Talent has one of his old friends in confinement and offers to give him back to Slef in exchange for working a little underhanded, morally black areas the rest of the crew won't. So in the midst of this, Slef Slef is ferreting away data that the rest of the group is not supposed to see. He's performing surgeries the rest of the crew is not supposed to know much about. And the whole thing came to a head at the end of the season, where Shabah, suspecting something was up, went in and took part of Slef Slef's computer in order to try to analyze it. And after Slef Slef discovered it, it led to an explosion. It led to both sort of dramatically and physically, in the sense that they had a face-off, whereupon Slef Slef ended up booby-trapping himself into and holing up in the engine room of the Fire Shrike, and the captain had to talk him down. Meanwhile, Qualu assigned to keep Shabah from starting anything major, gets into it with Shabah, who blows the side out of the shadow of Ever, starting in chain emotion. While all of this happening, Ezzy and Ashera seem to be slowly getting sicker and sicker throughout the second half of the season, with no indication as to why this is going on. The only thing they can find out so far is that it's something that's down on sort of a genetic level. It's in so the DNA is breaking down, and they don't know why yet. So Ezzy and Ashera are a little bit are a little bit less than 100% as we go into this last battle, whereupon the Dr. Talat decides to have a word with Shabah, Captain Volvetto, and Slef Slef over the events concerning a hole being blown into the side of his ship when the Hell Knights attack and blow the shit out of the ship, separating Shabah and Slef Slef from the Fire Shrike, further separating Captain Zai as he goes to rescue Slef's friend. And Ashera makes a valiant stand against a nemesis from her past, the captain of the Hell Knights. And it was a brutal fight that ended in Ashera's death. And Ezzy tries he might, struggled as valiantly to try to save Ashera as Nahir ordered the retreat, and Rek and Qualu dragged him back onto the ship, screaming, "I can save her." And as we kind of go along here, so we ended the season in a bad way. Dragged him back onto the ship, screaming, "I can save her." And as we kind of go along, crew members of Nahir, Nurks, Rek, and Qualu, and a teenage girl named Melanie. So we've kind of gotten to this point where we've gone from finding out who the crew is to the crew getting involved in a very complex political situation on this frontier colonies that is on the verge of chaos between a group of disaffected miners and colonists calling themselves the Tabori Union, who want to sort of like form their own new nation. They've got these big grand dreams for this entire area. The Hell Knights, who have ostensibly been hired to take create order within the surrounding systems, and to capture the known terrorists on the Fire Shrike at all costs, a thing which they have been doggedly pursuing, and probably part of the reason they attacked the Shadow of Ever, if we're honest. So there's a complex political three-way warfare going on here, as the Professor Talat, who ostensibly is a representative to or from and both of the Vitari Tech Corporation, is sort of launching his own shadow warfare in the surrounding systems around here, and also the Tabora Union and the Hell Knights. So there's like a three-way battle going on. Plus, there's several independent colonies who just want to be left the fuck alone. So with a bit of this in mind, as far as the history, and I kind of know I skipped around a little bit here, but I kind of want to go and start talking to the characters. Let's see. Well, let's start with probably for a let's start with Captain Zai. Who is Captain Zai? What race? What class? Who is he as a person? What's his theme song? What's his favorite food? Tell us about and kind of tell us a little bit about
Heart
Captain
palpitations
Zai's,
first day of school, man.
right? I'm telling you. Well, it's kind of, let's get to know Captain Zai and what his what his thing is. What was his journey there?
I wish I had a memoriam to Ashera I could put up on my screen.
There is up in the upper left-hand corner, there's Ashera Rip written in somewhat nice handwriting.
Yeah, but my stream's not showing the board right now.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I see. Captain, are you there? Can't hear you in game.
Oh dear.
Are you
It's
muted?
okay. I had myself muted.
Ah, okay. So take it away. Tell us about who Zai is and what his journey through season 2 has been
Oof.
from his perspective.
Season 2. Ah, so many sad things. So many happy things. But so hi, I'm Captain Zai. I'm a 6'4" Kasathan. That means I have 4 arms and I look kind of like Goro. I'm normally the captain of the Fire Shrike, at least. And I'm a social alcoholic in mild recovery because I have crazier people than me on board my ship.
Yes.
They cause me not to drink. My technical best friend is another Kasathan named Nahir, who also has 4 arms, and he's technically my conscience and keeps me from going completely insane. We're literally tied together in our story lives. And he's a lot of fun too, as far as being a buzzkill.
And Captain Zai is a Solarian.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Captain Zai first. My actual skills after that are ridiculous. I'm a Solarian. That means I draw powers from light and gravity. And I do some crazy things. I have the ability to irradiate someone to the point that they're so sick that they can't fight me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I have the ability to yank things from afar and move entire blocks of people from one spot to another if they don't like it. For the most part, I try to be a really nice guy that if you mess with, I destroy you. It doesn't always work out for me though. I tend to collect a really eclectic group of people to be on my ship. I like variety and spice, and my favorite food is apples. And I'm very non-traditional in the sense of being a Kasathan or a Solarian for that matter. I tend to break as many rules as I obey, and the best way to get me not to do something is to just leave me alone. But if you tell me I can't, then I'm probably going to do it just to spite you.
What would you say Captain Zai's journey was like here? I mean, what was the biggest change for the
Sobriety?
notorious captain from from the beginning of season 2 to end of? What's the biggest change in this season's arc?
Well, Slef Slef going less than good on me.
So the relationship with Slef.
Yeah, Slef is one of my special crew members in the first place, and part of season 2 was him trying to deal with his PTSD, and I wasn't nearly as helpful as I thought I was being. And I didn't know some of the facts because he didn't trust me enough to share those facts with me in character. So I was completely disappointed in him once I found out that it was true that everything was telling me, and that he didn't believe that I would have helped him get his friend back in the first place. So that hurt Captain's eye for sure.
You know what, Captain?
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah.
It happens.
But he still is Slef enough that he stripped down to just regular clothes and walked into a grenade-filled, machine gun-filled room to deal with him. Captain's Eye is very loyal to his crew, but very you can do what you want, so long as it doesn't hurt anybody else, and you do what I tell you when you need to. And for the most part, we get along that way. And I have an amazing crew, I really do. Everybody can do so many things. We have come together and learned to take care of each other as a group and reduce the time required to make almost anything. If you can name it, if it's within our level, we can make you one. And if we can't, we can probably figure out how to do it anyway.
Right on. But what would you say your favorite memory out of season 2 has been?
Always puts me on the spot.
You know what? We'll come back to that. I'll let you think
Come
about
back
that.
to that. Thank you.
We'll start off by just doing who are the characters and that kind of general stuff, and then we'll come back to things like favorite memories and what the character's theme song would be and things of that nature. And I think probably a good place to go from here, because very, very big in the story arcs throughout season 2 is Slef Slef.
Wait, we have a question from our lovely audience.
Oh, what would that be?
Captain, who drives you the most crazy?
Ooh.
Yeah,
That's a good question.
Rumble bladder.
He's not even here.
He's not even here.
And that's why he drives you crazy.
No. Honestly, for season 2 especially, Slef has been my problem child.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
And as far as it goes, it's mostly because most of the things that we do could be construed under just being regular mercenaries if it hadn't been for the fact that Slef likes to throw grenades, even when the captain says don't bring grenades.
Yeah.
What can I say?
Lost a boom boom.
That's why I make grenades that just, get people sticky. Those are for throwing people. They're stuck there. They can't hurt us. All right. But yeah. Other than that, I don't know. I guess this is as good a time as any. Shabah, this is time for your. We're all here to talk about your problems.
Oh, intervention.
That we're not going to mention because it's PG-13. But you have issues. You might want to seek help. Maybe check into a rehab or something.
As he gave her
we
a
love you,
whole
Shabah.
backpack.
We want you to be, the best you can be. So moderation is the key in that.
Okay.
The problem was that she wasn't.
Okay, Dad.
That was the problem. She was like thinking too clearly, and then she thought so clearly that she thought, you know what? I need to leap into combat with a bunch of random people who will probably kill me. And no, what to say.
Well.
And battle away the space helmet he tried to give me.
That's right.
Well, I think that. God, you make it hard. Let's go to Slef. Who is Slef Slef? Race, class, kind of a description. What's it? Because he's a very bizarre-looking individual.
Yeah. So Slef Slef is a Yisekai, which for those of you who are not Starfinder familiar, is a giant mouse, rat, or hamster man. Giant rodent man. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah.
Slef has had extensive physical modifications made this season. Last season, it was like, oh yeah, he got like an arm. Cool. This season was rounded out the other arm, got spider legs, got a bionic spine, fake eyes, new receptors for his ears, a freaking respirator unit, right? Like all of that just applied immediately. Slef is an engineer by trade and probably one of the best out there by his own words. And also has a passion for physical science, which often means the explosive side of physical science, but also can mean space-time anomalies is another big interest of his. So that's Slef Slef. He's a fun on a bun.
So, what is the biggest change Slef has undergone through this season, and what was Slef's journey like through Slef's eyes going through season 2?
Oh, definitely. Partially betraying the Fire Shrike crew. I mean, like, he got his back, huh?
Yeah, only partially.
Yeah, actually only partially. I never worked directly against the interests of the Fire Shrike. I only had sin by omission.
Yeah, he really was only doing things that the rest of us would be unwilling to do because we have, ethics and morals.
Yeah, Slef is actually a chaotic evil character, but is fiercely loyal. So this season pitted that chaotic evil against his fierce loyalty, because he's fiercely loyal to another person, Elgas, and that was a major character arc for Slef. In fact, I'd go as far to say that Slef's character arc was, at least for primary narrative reasons, one of the more dominating angles of this season.
Yes.
Because, yeah, Slef basically had his old best friend, like the first person he really considered family, waved in front of his face, and basically was told, all right, your new family, you have to do some things that, like, they can't know about, and you got to deal with that. And Slef, being horrendously terrible at social situations, basically had to try and find a way to balance that. And he had this whole, I've got everything under control. He had a very, like, Walter White-esque kind of
That's
thing
perfect.
going on.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. He thought he had everything under control. He had everything down to the calculation, but he didn't think about human reaction, right? He didn't factor in people doing things that were unpredictable, and he thought that things would just fall into place because he wasn't thinking about, like, oh yeah, they might raise questions whenever I start acting a little fishy, you know. So yeah, that was Slef's biggest transformation and journey on this whole season. It was a big one.
Well, Slef's relationship changed with everybody throughout the season. Like
Dramatically.
there was a lot of changes in particularly his relationship with with Shabah, Ezzy, and the captain in particular. But
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. Ezzy
Oh
became
boy.
Ezzy became a very adversarial and contentious relationship until the very end. Shabah was a relationship. So it was kind of like flip sides when you think about how Slef's relationship changed with Ezzy and how it changed with Shabah. Because when he was working with Ezzy, he very much started to distance himself from Ezzy and played the aggressor on that end. But then when it came to Ashera, it was the other way around, right? Where Shabah distanced herself and Slef wanted to salvage it. You know what I mean? So it became a pretty interesting sort of thing. And the captain, I think that there's an understanding between Slef and the captain, as there generally always is when things are aired out and on the floor between the two of them. But, like, you know, there was still some real rough moments and probably a lot of trust that has been lost.
I was gonna say the captain has always treated Slef like the little brother that gets into dad's stash one too many times
Yeah.
of caffeine pills or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
you
Something
know.
PG. But sorry, I'm trying, dear. So he watches out for him and he worries when he gets into too much trouble
Mm-hmm.
because he believes that you're better than what you believe you are.
Oh, yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, you're the little brother that, like, I'm like, why are you talking to that guy? He's not good.
Accurate.
Why aren't you telling me everything? Okay, I'll let you do it your way for a while. But when it all comes to head, you're going to have to deal with me yelling at you and possibly threatening your life.
You know, typical
because-
brother stuff.
Yeah, because I love you, I will slay you if need be.
Well, you know, and I think what's really great about this is Slef's relationship. There's one constant that his relationship has remained. Nahir. Nahir doesn't trust anybody, and Nahir has
Especially not Slef, though.
oh, especially
Talk.
I mean, they've always had something of a contentious relationship, and there's always a certain amount of cool professionalism between the two of them that they work together because
Right.
they're on the same team. But Nahir's not going to immediately get aggressive unless he's got the go ahead from the captain, you know, or until it becomes obvious there's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
The oversight that Nahir has is hello.
Yeah.
We didn't.
Yeah.
Chris was talking. I couldn't hear him in game. He muted himself.
Goober.
Buttons are hard.
Yeah, they are.
So are words.
Words are hard. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was going to say, yeah, if Nahir were the PC and Zai were otherwise, if the roles were reversed, there'd probably be, at the very least, ProSoft would have died miraculously on the way back
Oh,
from a
yeah.
mission.
I love how you say miraculous. Like it's a good.
Oh, it
Hey,
would have been a
It's
good
not tragically. It's
He doesn't get-
miraculously.
He doesn't
Yeah.
get to
Talking
die
about-
until Ezzy gets to kill him. That's my
The
spot.
professors are like, "What happened to ProSoft? He spontaneously combusted. It was a miracle."
One less
Exactly.
war criminal
First
in
thing
the
to
world.
Yeah.
I mean, he just threw himself into the trash compactor. I've never seen anything like it.
We've got it.
He vented himself. Who would have thought?
But I think as far as NPCs go, his relationship has also changed with Nurks, because they came to a head over like differences between the two of them, because Nurks got transferred back to the Spitfire, so that
That was Ezzy's fault, remember?
yeah, that was
Yeah, that was Zezzy's fault. I don't know
Yeah,
why Nerds
but
got
she
super
did
mad
blame
at
you.
Slef over that. but-
because she misunderstood the situation at first to be about the argument they had over her burning hard leaving atmosphere on one of the
Yeah.
planets.
Oh,
You yelled at her
yeah,
for popping
And
fuses.
she didn't know about the whole side of it with Ezzy. No one ever
Yeah.
told her. She
Well,
thought it was because she
Not
had an
until
argument
after the
with.
fact.
Yeah,
Yeah, and-
both Slef the character would have never guessed that, and Michael the human being did not pick up on
No.
that subtext.
and-
I was like, man, why is she so mad at me all of a sudden? Whatever. I mean, I guess she's in a mood or something.
Well, she thought she was being more or less demoted, so to speak, because she had an argument with Slef, and the
That makes
captain was
sense.
favoring it. It wasn't until the captain told her what was really
That is true. The rest of the crew really does think that you get preferential treatment. Ezzy has
Oh.
complained about it. Nurse has complained about it.
Well,
I mean, it's not actually wholly inaccurate because Slef hasn't been kicked the hell off the ship. just
right.
Because he's like the absolute most definite loose cannon on the ship. Like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
literally do not think there's anyone less professional on the ship when it comes to combat.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean,
It's all on fire. I'm helping.
Yeah.
thank you. I was about to bring that up. I
I'm
was,
helping.
Right,
That
and
was
Slef is responsible for some of the best lines in both seasons too.
yeah.
Aw, shucks.
Oh,
You
Yeah.
gave our channel its original catchphrase.
Oh,
Yeah.
R.I.P. Fern.
Yes.
R.I.P. Fern.
Yeah.
We'll come back to it. Well, actually, let's just throw that out there right now. In the first season, for those of you who don't know,
May I? May I?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll
so
let you. It's your
here
character.
was Slef minding his own business, trying to
What
protect a
happened?
member of the crew who no longer is with us, trying to protect them from, getting caught in an illegal situation. So they say, Slef, cause a distraction. And Slef causes a distraction. And everybody got mad at him for causing a distraction. And I don't understand why. It's just he shot a grenade into a public morgue, and then a secretary may have gotten hurt. The real tragedy was that
She
the
died.
Fern got destroyed, and that
Yeah.
I am truly sorry and penitent for. The secretary had it coming, but the Fern, Lance didn't do nothing to no one.
Yeah, every time we finish a job, Slef donates $50 credits to the Buy a Fern Fund.
my.
You know what? I'm gonna make that a new part of my character once the whole crew gets.
Oh my god.
He's gonna be like, Captain, I understand what happened. Why you think I need to be on a short leash? It's the Fern.
I really don't
My-
think that's what you should
I
take away.
love this discussion. I love that discussion. That's great. So we did see a lot of Slef's relationships because he was sort of an overarching, plot line with the partial betrayal, as he's calling it, of the crew. And he's talking to. We talked a little bit about another member of the crew that is that has been really front and center in the Slef storyline in the last few episodes, and making a case for being a bigger loose cannon. Shabah, who is the current captain of the Spitfire, or at least was when we
theory.
last in theory,
In theory.
as we left
Theory.
off of
Wait.
season 2, and we don't know what happened to Shabah.
Shabba's gone. Ashera's gone. It's Captain Ezzy now.
Oh god.
No,
no.
We'll get to that.
Captain Wreck before Ezzy.
Oh.
Technically, it's Captain Nahir because that's who Zai left in charge. And yep,
That's true.
and
And I also said, but she died. So
you know,
I'd like to take another moment to like reflect on Ashera being dead.
Yeah.
Rip.
Reflecting.
It's probably the most tragic thing about the end of season 2.
wow.
Like Wash died.
So let's talk about Shabah Yan for a second here. Who is Shabah Yan? Like, what's her race and her class, and who is she, and what has her journey in season 2 been? What has she seen? How have her relationships changed? Let's dig in a little bit here.
PG-13.
Well, okay, that's going to be hard, but hey.
It is
We can
true.
summarize some
PG-13
of
is
it by
hard.
saying she parties pretty hard.
There you go.
Ooh, look at
Yeah,
that.
she parties pretty
hardy.
hard.
But we're,
Yeah, but anyway, she is a Verthani. She comes from she's a race, they average about 8 feet in height. And they come from a title-locked world. So, henceforth the height part. She's a technomancer. So she really loves magic and technology together. And yes, she has a party problem. A real
Yes, she
party
does.
problem.
Party problem.
Libations.
Party problem, don't care problem. I don't.
Oh gosh.
Ooh, and she's an exhibitionist. We can say that.
Oh, yes, she is.
Shabba
Oh.
is,
Yeah, she is
Shabba
an
Young.
exhibitionist.
Shabba Young is the aunt that like none of the other family talks about. So like for any kids listening, that's
I'm the black
ant
sheep
that
of family.
Yeah,
PG-13.
it's the
Yeah.
ant that
They're paper games.
it's the ant that has the "It's always wine o'clock" mug.
Yeah.
Always wine o'clock. I like that.
You go to Shabba's
I like
kitchen and
it.
it's just got all these things that are
She's
like
that aunt that, yeah.
all
Mama
these
can't cook without a margarita, like
Yeah,
on an
all-
apron.
all
Oh,
these,
good
like-
lord.
Oh, at
Wow.
least. At least.
So, but Shabba towards the beginning of the season got promoted to the captain of the Spitfire, the Fire Shrike's companionship, which is a shuttle, and has kind
She
of
wasn't happy about it all at the time.
no. Like, what was that like?
I think that's what made her spiral a bit. It's like, oh my god, they're giving me responsibility.
Yeah.
Oh my
That's the head of security.
Oh wow.
Well, I had a
Well, cybersecurity. She was happy
Yeah.
with that. She could
Yeah.
hide in her computer.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was going by seniority. By seniority, it was your turn to be captain.
Oh yay!
Yeah. So we're looking at and towards the end of the season, there were some major changes in the relationships there. Like that you want to talk a little bit about Shabba's perspective on what happened towards the end of the season with Slef Slef and Qualu and the last 2 or 3 episodes.
Oh, the thing with Slef Slef. Poor Slef Slef. He didn't know what he was getting himself into.
He definitely didn't.
No,
that's
he
fact.
didn't. Yeah. The doctor's not a nice person. And yeah,
I could
just when
agree
it
with that.
finally dawned on her, that's like, he's the teacher's pet. Oh my god. He's in trouble.
He's
Yep.
in so much
He's going to be in a
trouble.
lot of trouble.
Well, and Shabba knows more about the professor than anyone. Knows more
yeah.
about Dr. Talit because
Well, she used to be a student/assistant way back in the days of university.
Ooh.
The
she
Professor Doctor is not a nice guy. He broke certain rules.
He broke certain rules. Shabba sort of exposed certain rules and decided, like, oh, it's time to get out of here because, well, it really formed a shit show.
Chat has another question.
yes.
Okay.
Who was your favorite register NPC?
I don't know if we
This is
have
for
a
everybody.
PC.
Rex.
Yeah.
Rex.
Fuck it.
Rack.
Whoa,
Wreck.
whoa.
Wreck
that's
or Rex?
painful.
Wreck.
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 Wreck
Yeah.
is, I guess Wreck is a bit of a red shirt, but I don't think he
That's
would
why
die.
I said bucket.
You
Yeah,
you planted a
Bucket
bomb in
is
his
definitely
head.
the
Bucket,
red
no,
shirt.
Bucket is definitely the red shirt NPC for me.
Bucket
Well,
Yeah,
dies
but
every
Bucket's part of
combat.
Every
Bucket's
combat.
part of Slef Slef. Like
Yeah.
one and the same. So
Yeah,
like it's
Slef
not a
is
true NPC.
Yeah, but
That's
he's been
fair.
set on fire, shot, stepped on.
Exploded
Exploded.
by mines.
Yeah.
Let's see, he got
Yeah, but
stabbed
see,
by
he's
a
the red
knife.
shirt that comes back.
He got stabbed by a knife. Like someone destroyed a robot with a knife.
Yeah. Well, a
Props.
very high-tech knife that
Yeah,
did a
but
lot of
props.
electricity damage.
And let's be fair. I mean, he's just a janitor's bucket with a machine
Yeah.
gun.
Yeah. Or a grenade launcher most of the time.
Or flamethrower at one point.
Yeah. I don't
And
think I ever
always
used the
remind you
flamethrower.
about your deep breathing.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
now Bucket reminds you of deep breathing.
Because Bucket is Slef is mechanic and Bucket is his drone.
Yeah.
So probably something we should have mentioned, but
But if
That
we're
is
talking about
offensive.
NPCs that aren't connected to a character, I'm gonna say that one girl who pretended to be Ashera and then Ashera beat
Yeah.
the crap out of.
I didn't beat
Oh,
the crap
good.
out of her. I
Just
walked
punched her
up
in
her
the
and I
head.
backhanded that bitch in the face.
yeah, she did.
Well, and then long
pretend to
after
be me.
we had left that area, we realized that she was the daughter of the lady that's the reason that the Hell Knights are after us anyway.
Yeah.
So you should have hit her
Janice McClure.
harder.
I should
No, we should have made her part of the crew
I
and taken
wanted-
pictures and sent them to
I
her
wanted
mom.
to shoot her. They wouldn't let me.
And yet
Nice.
somehow Ashera isn't chaotic evil.
Yeah,
Hey,
right.
I'm chaotic neutral.
Well,
I'm
she's
nice.
nothing
and then
now.
I'm fucking not nice.
Yeah, she
Ooh,
says
language.
she's space pace.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, Jeremiah. See what you
Yeah.
did? Don't make me talk. You're gonna get me in trouble.
You're gonna have to talk at some point, so you know.
Oh,
Yeah.
I picked the wrong one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey,
you.
we got our one. PG-13
You know,
movies can
there-
have that once.
I'm mad and I'm not mad. Those are the two Asheras, okay?
So
A tale of two
Literally walking the
Asheras.
line.
so you know, as you know, Shabah was directly responsible for one of the most major NPCs to, you know, be a part of season 2. And she was directly responsible for some explosions and a showdown with Slef Slef.
I have no clue what you're talking about.
You know,
I don't know what you're talking about.
there was a great moment. We mentioned the NPCs. There was a great moment where and we'll explain some of these NPCs in a bit. But one of their security guys, a cat person, which are called Patra in this game, whose security faced off with you know, Shabah because his orders were to keep her from doing something silly, and there was that moment where she outright said, if you get one shot, and we've also seen Shabah be a little bit more aggressive in this season, because when Tavis joined the group and they were kind of like doing
Yeah.
combat testing with everybody, she decided she was going to challenge Tavis,
Oh yes.
and yeah, that turned out. Why don't you let's talk about that a little bit. What's going on with Shabah there? Why did she decide suddenly, like, this green recruit, I'm going to throw a fireball at him?
Because Tavis
Yeah.
deserved it.
What?
I never said he did, but
Oh man.
well,
But
he
I'm
needed to be
implied.
tested. Well,
You were
yeah,
feeling
okay,
passive
look.
aggressive, and I let you okay. I
Yes.
was like, "Go for it," and you're like, "Okay, boom."
Okay.
And I'm like, "Oh, well."
Out
maybe
comes
you shouldn't
lightning.
have went for it."
Out comes the Arcing Surge, and then the explosive blast next round. Yeah, I think it was more he wanted to check out, like, how do these spells really work? It's like, oh,
So
Well.
she used a live test subject.
Wow. I feel even better.
Throwback University, you know, lab rats, you know,
Yeah.
Fire Shrike is not necessarily
lab
good people,
placentas,
but
you know, they're fine for experimenting.
let's also talk a little bit about like Ashera, and we'll go back a little farther than this because we started to see cracks in this as the season progressed. And I don't know if that was an intentional choice on your part or just things that you like made separate decisions in separate situations. But going back to the fight at the blood accretion compound, Shabah was the one that kicked that thing off in earnest. There was still a chance to contain that situation, but Shabah was the one who said, nope, it's time. We're gonna just storm the compound. You know.
It's true.
Yeah, I think she was just getting bored sitting there.
Hey,
It's
good
like-
news. We're allowed to cuss now. They closed the shop. He's just watching.
Oh, okay. All right, cool.
We are back to an alternate, an adult audience only.
Okay.
Sorry, let me explain to the watchers. My local game shop was they have a big screen TV. So while they were doing Magic and among other things tonight, they were watching us stream.
Right on. You know,
Cool.
and a big shout out to them. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you indeed.
You know, we always appreciate you know friendly faces. You know, coming stopping by and checking us out. So yeah, so you know we got Shabah kind of getting a little bit destabilized, and I kind of want to jump. And I kind of want to jump a little bit over here to another one of the major story arcs going on. Shabah and Ezzy have consistently, about halfway through the season, they both got sick with something that has been destabilizing
Shabah and
or not Shabah, Ashera.
Ashera.
Words are hard. I did. Now I've done it. Now I've called Shabah.
I got you, baby.
Shabah.
I was gonna say,
I'm
I
just
mean,
getting them mixed up. I don't know why.
Ezzy and Shabah have kind of worked together as like co-conspirators.
Yeah, let's
That's true.
Gave her a backpack full of party.
let's why
Real
don't
party.
Sandwiches.
let's talk a little bit about Ashera really
That was
quick
no
here.
sandwiches. That was candy.
Let's let's talk about Ashera a little bit here. Ashera is like class, race, you know, who is she? What's her journey been like as we've seen going forward through season 2?
Wait, where are we starting?
Just start with like race and class, and then kind of describe who Ashera is and what her journey's been in this
Do the
season.
captain's eye thing, except for you.
Oh God! But I am a bucket full of crazy.
Start with that. Hi, I'm Ashera. I'm a bucket full of crazy.
Ashera. I should be on medication.
I'm Ashera. I'm dead.
Some days, so I am dead currently.
Yes.
My character died last Monday. But let's pretend that didn't happen for a moment, so I can explain.
I try to pretend every day.
Oh. Okay, so like I am an elven. I'm from Castrovel's planet. I don't know what to do here. I feel like it's the first day of school. I hate this. I am a technomancer. What is the other one? Spacefarer, is that it? That's it, right?
Your theme? Yeah, Spacefarer. Yeah, background in Spacefarer.
Okay,
Yeah.
I don't remember how to explain that one.
Well, that's
pretty much Shabah explained the technomancer part already. I started out first season 1. Season 1, I had black hair, long black hair, and we got in a fight. One of my favorite moments has to be we got dressed. I don't remember what it was. We got dressed up. Where was I wearing the dress?
the Holovid Awards.
Holovid Awards. I got so mad in character, like they destroyed my dress, and I got pissed, and I just wanted to murder them all. I looked good, and they just shredded it almost. So that was probably one of my favorite parts. It was funny.
Yep.
Season 2, Ashera kind of took on a new, like mid-season 2. It wasn't the first of the season, but she kind of started, I guess, mulling things over in a way that she kind of thought of things and who she could trust and stuff. So, other than that, like, I went to be a redhead. Now I'm a redhead, as you can see down here in my picture.
Shira got her groove back.
Got my groove back. I started being a little more outgoing with the crew.
Then you and I got space aids.
Then we got space aids and died. Actually, Ezzy's still alive for now.
No, you get to die in glorious combat and go to Valhalla. I'm dying of space aids because a robot wouldn't let me go save you.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and how does all of this sort of like, I guess this has affected like all of your like relationships with the rest of the crew in the sense that like, you know,
You're dead.
you've become, well, I
Yeah,
mean,
I don't know. I'm not there.
I mean, like throughout season two, like she did come out of her shell more and start
I did.
interacting with more people and doing a lot.
Yeah.
And really, we did push, and I'm gonna throw a shout out here to Codex because I was kind of mulling over because I really wanted to give Ashera some more to do. And I was kind of mulling over, and I've pitched a few ideas at Codex, and she's been really cool about saying, yeah, that sounds pretty cool. Let's run with that. Or, you know, I
Yeah.
think I want to do this. And, you know, kind of has really been, you know, Codex as a player throughout season 2 has been like really, really awesome for me to work with because of the fun things we've been able to do with Ashera in terms of like pushing that you know, that rivalry with Cervantic Cordrum. We found out she served on a ship with, and he's a racist, and he was abusive to her, and he was an asshole, and they kind of go back a ways, and it really allowed us to pay that off at the end of the season with that epic duel
Yeah.
between the two of them. You know, Ashera not at 100%, standing tall among the flames, trying to fight, you know, trying to fight a Hell Knight captain that just wanted her dead. And I really appreciate the fact that you were brave enough to go with that and say, you know what, I think this is a good time for that. You know, I may lose, you know, but let's do this. And I think that's not the kind of choice a lot of players would make, is going into a fight they might not win and just being like, no, fuck it. I don't even want any help. This is personal.
I don't know. You'd be surprised. Some PCs slit their own throats.
Let's not get off track and reference the other game here. We can do a season retrospective.
The
of that
other
one.
game, talking about it like it's the other woman. Come on.
Oh, is that all I am to you?
I'm just trying to keep the topic where it's supposed to be tonight. You know, just keep relevant to where we're at.
Me, your main woman.
Fantastic.
You know,
Fantastic.
motherfuckers.
Adult
we also
only
learned-
stream.
We also learned, you know, quite a bit about like we deepened that relationship that Ashera and Nurx have as super good friends, you know, and there was a little bit of oddness to it towards the end. Ashera was kind of being a little bit more drawn back and was forgetting some conversations they had because she was sick and whatnot. So, but they've been, you know, that's an essential character relationship for Ashera, right? It's like her friendship with Nurx.
Yeah. Nurx is like her best friend.
You know,
Like they're inseparable. So that's another thing is how's Nurx gonna,
Ooh,
you know.
Yeah.
and that's a good.
She's
yeah.
gonna fix it all with booze.
I think that'll be a good scene. I think that'll be a really good scene.
Oh, there's season 2, season 3 is going to see us crew in a very low point
Yeah.
in various places.
It's going to be our empire.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I mean, but you've got this whole thing going on, and I really do appreciate that Ashera has stepped forward with the, you know, the sickness, you know, the sort of sickness like story arc going on, and with the sort of rivalry thing, and has been very cool about like trusting me with certain scenes and certain things, with you know, adding bits and pieces into her character's, you know, sort of background.
Yeah.
You know, so Chris, we can't hear you in game.
Chris, stop breaking stuff.
He's learning mute.
I'm trying to be, courteous instead of
No,
just
no.
chewing on stuff.
Oh, you're good.
I
Sure.
said some of my favorite parts of season 2 are when you put her on the spot.
Well, she's been really good about being there and rolling
Right.
with it. So,
Oh no. I love that she puts forth all the effort that she does.
and
And just like last week when I was like, "Don't fight him," and you're like, "I'm gonna fight him," and I'm like, "I knew that, but I had to say it."
and let's jump on over to our other genetically destabilized uber sick character here, who
Ladies and gentlemen, Captain Space Age.
is
coming to a theater near you.
So let's go over to Ezzy, who joined us. Actually, James has played 2 characters in this season. He played Elijah Prosov, which we can let him talk about Elijah a little bit while he's talking about Ezzy. But Elijah and Ezzy, his 2 characters, kind of tell me, tell me about both of them. Who was Elijah Prosov? What was his whole deal? What was his story arc? And what was and what is who is Ezzy and what is his story arc? And these 2 are interesting because their storylines connect. Played by the same player, but 2 characters with storylines that connect, who were both part of the Fire Shrike, but at different times. So, James, why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Oof. Oh boy. Well, back when we thought that me being on this show was just going to be a temporary thing before I infected it with my space aids, I played a human operative. I know, ew, playing a human in an RPG.
Wow. Okay,
named-
I'll sleep your game. Sorry.
Hey, you're playing the snake more than you are the human.
Ha!
I continue.
Elijah Prosov was the definition of scummy slimebag merc. Elijah Prosov, he didn't care what he do. He didn't care who you have to kill as long as you get the money. He was moderate build. The most distinctive thing about him was this patchy, shitty, scraggly little beard mustache he had going on. Not for want of actually wanting the facial hair, more just he didn't care enough about it to actually, keep it trimmed. He joined the Fire Shrike as a consultationist, basically. He was a day worker. And that work involved going down to planet and spending like 2 months of real time murdering a bunch of people, which he got in a Jeep, he ran people over, the Jeep blew up, he was fine. But for a little bit of his backstory, Elijah Prosov was originally part of the military of Absalom Station, and during the colony wars, he turned coattail when he was offered more money by the opposing side. And for the rest of the colony wars, he fought for the highest bidder and committed all sorts of war crimes. So by the time he got on the Fire Shrike, he was an interplanet. He had the Death Warrant in 12 systems. And they hated him. He didn't really care. He left his little
who
hula
set your
girl.
clothes on fires?
Hmm?
You set your clothes on fire?
Yeah, you set my clothes on fire so you could give me better ones.
No, I didn't set them on fire. I thought somebody else did that. I gave you new clothes.
That was
Was
Aries.
it? Oh, yeah, it was
Aries.
Aries.
Yeah, Aries set your clothes on fire when you got there. And then shortly after, I had a conversation with you that explained that if Nahir had it his way, he would have shot you before you got on the ship.
As he should have.
James does an incredible job at being the bad guy. I'm glad he's on my side.
Yeah, so this guy, he was there for one mission, left, but he did leave his mark. all throughout the Spitfire and the Fire Shrike. No one knows how, but they'll be just going along and they will find these little, those little hula dancer girls that you put on your dashboard.
Oh god, they're everywhere.
Yep.
Yes, they are.
I made the joke that if one of the ships ever blew up and it went out like the Enterprise in search for Spock, there'd be the big explosion. Then we'd see a bunch of hula dancing girls flying off into space.
Flung to the to the corners of the universe.
Like
Some
Slef
planet.
Slef will
some
be going
planet-
through his little tunnels, and then he'll just find one.
Sir,
Yeah.
we're picking up something on long-range scanners. What is it? It appears to be a tiny hula girl, sir.
Long after the Spitfire blows up or the Fire Strike blows up, one of these hula girls makes its way far into the reaches of the galaxy, lands on a planet where primitives worship it as a goddess.
Yeah.
You
Sounds
know,
about right.
that it came from the sky.
Canon.
It was all Prosov's fault.
Canon. But moving on to a character that actually people like, Islay Soraval, also known just as Ezzy, is the Lashunta, one of two Lashunta on the party, which means he's about 5'5" and has antenna like a bug man, as well as these weird little facial ridge things that they have. Almost like a Cardassian in that aspect, but he is not a tailor.
Far
He
from
is,
it.
he is a pop star sensation from his his ancestral homeworld of Castrovel. But funny enough, as he was not born on Castrovel, he was born on one of the Starfinder ships called the Castrovelian Spirit. His parents were Starfinders, and they were also devout worshippers of the goddess Desna, the Dreamer. So when he came of age, he kind of got that wild streak going, just like his parents. Except instead of wanting to go out and explore the far reaches of space, he wanted to go back home. So he did, and got a pop star. No one knows how. He met his awful fat manager, Bexley. And
Bexley.
God, what did I call his band again?
Oh yeah, he had the Nixon voice.
Bexley.
me another wheel of beef.
I'm
Love it.
Bexley.
I got a gig for you. You gotta make a public appearance.
You got like
At a
mothballs
ball.
in your cheeks.
Yeah.
Bexley,
Yeah.
roll me to the window. I wish to glower at the enemy.
He looks like Lebowski.
Oh god.
Not the
Yes.
dude, but Lebowski.
Yeah,
I'm
he looks
Bexley.
like the Big Lebowski. You know,
But
what
you-
the movie's based off of.
Yeah, so Ezzy is a pop star and he's very
Yeah.
pretty.
I forget what his band's name was, but to describe Ezzy himself, he is one of the, what are they called, the Deme? Because there are two sub races.
Maya, yep.
Yeah.
Maya. They are the more intelligent yet frailer subspecies of Lashunta. So he is
The emo
all
Lashunta.
he's all skin and bones. He's very pretty though. Like one of the reasons that he got to be part of this band wasn't necessarily his musical talent or his ability to sing or his ability to dance or use his star shaman abilities to wow people. It's just he's gorgeous.
How gorgeous is he out of character?
Oh, he's got like a 20 in charisma.
Oh.
There's so many pretty people on the Fire Shrike. I forget.
Right.
Slef's the pretty.
Yeah. And let's
What the hell is my charisma?
But he's got, well, when he first started on the ship, he had pink hair, but now it's purple. He always is wearing a cloak that is made to mimic like the night sky, so it's kind of a different shades of blue and purple and black with stars inset into it. What else? His normal clothes don't really fit the whole pop star thing because when he left, after he kind of got disillusioned and lost someone very important to him in the Colony Wars that Prosov killed, he left on his own and has been wearing like Starfarer gear ever since.
I have to explain the inception.
How my character's clash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Prozov killed someone very important to Ezzy, who was a soldier fighting for the Pact Worlds in one of the colony wars. When Ezzy found this out, he went on a whole big fuck you against the Pact Worlds and the major corporations who were fueling this, which didn't go over well because, you know, those were the corporations that were getting him money. So he eventually kind of faded out into obscurity, left the Pact Worlds, and ended up in the Tabori cluster. His goal being to try and find the star that I can't remember the name of, that was the first star in creation and is the home of Desna, because it's an actual physical place. But then a whole bunch of death metal punks who are drunk or something blow up his ship by running into it.
Drunk
And
drivers.
He was perfectly fine because, to explain, Ezzy is a mystic, and mystics can take one of many different paths based on either the concept or which deity provides them their powers. They're essentially a mix of like cleric, sorcerer, kinda. They don't necessarily get their power from a deity, but they usually do. And he is called a star shaman. And one of their abilities is the ability to be out in space and suffer no ill effects. So when his ship blew up, he was just floating through space like drunk drivers.
Yep.
And then traded the new
Backpack
magic
full of
item.
drugs.
Yeah, the the new magic item, the backpack of party,
Ha.
in order to get onto the Spitfire with Captain Shabah, and it's just been part of the crew since. Ezzy is a kind-hearted person by nature. He very much is neutral good. He wants to do right by people. He knows that not everyone will do right by him, but he just wants to make the world a little better place because, as he told the captain early on, in the end, we're all stars.
And I agreed with him because, well, we're all Stardust.
Yeah.
You know, and we as we talk a little bit about Ezzy and whatnot, we have seen that Ezzy has progressed as a character as far as things go, and has a, you know, we talked a little bit about his relationship with Slef Slef. We talked a little bit about Ezzy trying to find his place within the group and
Right.
what have you. He's
Ezzy has become tougher since since we started this.
Oh, this season just destroyed him. You
Yeah.
took
Alright.
this precious little baby and you have wrecked him. Ever
also-
since
yeah.
he got sick, he also has not been able to talk to Desna. Or when he has, she's been very unwilling to give him his usual portents. And as such, he has slowly been drifting more and more towards Goitus, the god of the end times.
Goitus.
Goitus! I got me some Goitus!
Well,
Hopefully, in the time
and-
that we're off, you can find a cure.
and there's a couple of things going on here also. Ezzy owns one-on-one victory over Slef Slef. caused a great deal of
Oh,
Which
yeah.
caused the wedge in friendship.
This was the great schism, as it were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was the big one that, like, Slef went, I don't like you no more.
Yeah, Nahir, being Nahir, was like, I'm going to make you fight Slef Slef, because I don't like Slef Slef, and I don't like you.
It was more the
So-
fact that he wanted to test the newer people's combat abilities.
And mystics, being that they're basically clerics, they're not necessarily given a lot of offensive spells. They do have some. Most of their spells either do with healing or buffing their party, or deal with crowd controlling the enemy. And Ezzy has his own spin on the spell Fear, where instead of filling people with things that'll make them spooked and run away, he fills people with the memories of their greatest loss, the greatest sense of loss they've ever felt in their life.
Now,
by
if you
trans-
come...
Because
ahead.
Lashuntas are psychic, so they can do that. And he did that on Slef after Slef was a jerk and shot him with a beanbag in the face.
Hey, that does not make you a jerk during a combat expert.
So he just used his fear spell. Slef fucking botched that roll and just
Now, yeah.
out of combat.
Done.
Yeah.
Done.
Now, if you compound that with the fact that Slef was dealing with behind the scenes to Ezzy, oh, my best friend is actually alive, even though I thought they were dead, and I'm being blackmailed with them. And then, like, aha, I'm gonna use your best friend against you. Slef, I would say, had a reasonable reaction of going, no, I don't want to fucking talk.
Yeah, and it was originally just going to be, as Mike explained it, if it had just been a regular fear spell of, ah, get away!
Yeah.
You know, he'd just be spooked by him. But now it
Yeah.
was, no, I hope you die in a fire.
Oh,
yeah.
jeez.
Yeah,
Which
no, it
Slef
got-
actually did say.
Yeah,
He basically said, hey, hey, you know what? You're sick. How about you go ahead and die already?
yeah, so
Which Slef regrets a lot. Still.
even before Ezzy got sick, he started noticing that Slef was kinda, he smelled a rat, as it
God
were.
damn it.
Dun, dun, dun.
And
You motherfucker.
when he tried to tell the captain about it, was like, hey, because Slef approached him and was like, this operation we're gonna do, let me do it instead for no other reason than because I have skeety shit to do.
That was a good imitation. I liked it.
Ah!
Okay, that
And
went
then,
off.
and then he was like, okay, like 6 red flags right there. So he tries to go and tell the captain. The captain's like, I trust him more than I trust you. Go away.
Slap.
And so as he was like, well, shit, now I gotta prove that I'm not just making things up out of spite.
Right.
And after he gets sick, after they all went to Space Carl's Jr., not really, but after whatever happened that made them all lose their memory and wake up with space aids, which Carl's Jr. has been known to do.
Why is that a common problem?
Eventually, they go on these misadventures, and they do find Rex Tolak, who they have been contracted to remove a chip from. And Ezzy, with a nat 20 in his, was it physical science or medicine?
I think it was medicine.
Saw Slap,
No.
and
Yeah, it was engineering, actually.
yeah, because I was
No,
like,
it was-
oh man,
yeah.
I'm not trained. Oh, nat 20.
Yeah.
Bec-
No, I guess it was medicine. Because that was your path to it. Because I don't think you have engineering, do you?
Mm-mm. I have
Okay,
computers
yeah,
now because Nurks trained me.
Yep.
But he noticed that this skeevy little, because like, I think Slef wanted him to help him because one, Ezzy is much better at medicine than him. He's got like 6 theoretical degrees.
Slef and Ezzy are roughly equivalent.
Mm-hmm. But he also wanted help, I think, because Ezzy was so dying at that. Like, that was one of his bad moments. Because whatever he's got kind of goes in waves.
Mm.
And that was a bad one. That was when he passed out and almost, like, choked on his own blood. But he noticed this little rat was putting something into someone's brain that didn't belong there. And was like, you know, did the Buzz Lightyear meme. And then eventually they get back to the Shadow of Ever. As he tries to go and talk to the doctor about, hey, I know that asshole Prosov was here. Where is he so I can shoot him? And the doctor's like, I can't tell you. I don't know why I used my Prosov voice for him. I cannot tell you, for that would go against my agenda.
Well, it wasn't even so much that. It was the fact that he didn't honestly know where ProSouth was.
But so that's still a goal he has going into season 3 is shooting Proslav in the face, which I think everyone in the crew will help him with if they find him.
Yeah.
But then Shabah starts getting suspicious of Slef. And Ezzy's like, dude, I told you, he's a literal rat. And literal and metaphorical. And so the two of them sneak in, almost get caught by Qualu, but
Quat by
Was it-
Carlo.
yeah, caught by Kalu. They almost got caught.
Cool.
But picked up a grenade and was like, oh, I'm totally here for this
They're all
grenade.
from Boston.
So, we have a quick question here from
Mhm.
chat. Does Darth Slef like sand?
Okay, so Darth Slef does not like sand, but not because it is coarse and gets everywhere, but because it gets in servos, and when sand gets in servos, it's a real bitch to get out. It's just fucking. It's granulated. Bone.
It's
A lot
coarse.
of it. It's just, if you put it in something, it'll never leave.
So, in a sense, it is because it's coarse and gets everywhere.
He just doesn't word it that way.
Hard to clean out of machinery, man.
Exactly.
But,
He doesn't care that it gets everywhere. He cares it gets in machinery.
So, I want to describe my favorite scene from season 2, which was the Last Supper.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if there had been a promotional image for that episode, it would have been
God, I wish
the
somebody would
Last
make that
Supper.
with all our
And-
characters.
And Slef
Oh,
Slef would
yeah.
totally be Judas, knocking over the salt.
100%.
And Captain Sai would be Jesus.
Yes. No
No,
offense.
technically that's not true. Because Ashera is the one that died.
Ha. Oh yeah, Ashera died because of Slef Slef's
No,
treachery.
I don't want that responsibility. No. Turning the job down.
So, yeah. We all sit down for a good old hearty meal made by a goblin, don't ask.
It was a good meal.
Yeah, she rolled really well. It's just one of those things where you usually are like, hey, who should cook supper? Make the
Who's
goblin do it.
You do realize that the goblin is technically a master, brewer at this point?
Oh,
How
yeah.
many? Does she
Yeah.
have
I
it at,
know.
like 8?
I'm just saying, if
Yeah.
we're looking like it's stereotypical fantasy, don't let the
No, no.
goblins do anything.
Yeah,
You know,
no,
you
Right,
guys on
right.
Tuesday don't want Scrump making you supper.
No.
Well, that's just like because Trump is fucking insane.
Yeah.
But so they're all sitting down to a good meal, and Shabah keeps glaring over at Slef Slef, and
That is true.
Slef
It
Slef
was
being
very Last Supper.
completely like emotionally just doesn't get people.
Yeah.
No, not being a very social person, was like, Shabah, you want a drink? And Shabah's like, and this is very out of character. No.
Yeah.
And that's when
Very
Shabba
out of
says,
character.
"I'm fine" when it comes to having a drink. You best believe she's not fine.
So that's when the little robot mouse inside of Slef's brain starts running on the treadmill. And he starts to figure something's not right. So as he uses ghost sounds to create the illusory sound that the engine was malfunctioning,
Which we all failed.
yeah, everyone except Qualu, who was like, I don't know engines.
Well,
So-
he does, but he was like, "That's weird."
Like he gets up and leaves, and as he's like, "Ooh, our conspiracy was almost halted," and then it was
Yeah.
halted because Shabah went off on a crazy spree.
A literal crazy.
That's when Slef and Ezzy had their big confrontation, where he said, "You're sick. Why don't you just go and die already?" And Ezzy looked at him and said, "I'm waiting for you to go first."
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then as he
yeah.
fell over, almost dying.
Yeah.
All right. It was you're very Doc Holliday at this point.
hmm
Yeah, except space states instead of tuberculosis. But
Aaron, what do you mean? Doc Holliday rules.
No, I was just making noises.
So everything with Shabah happens as he saves at least 3 lives, by the way. He's a pretty cool dude.
hmm
But how many
Qualu owes him so much catnip. But yeah, and then final combat happens, and he tries to like make an opening for Ashera, but we were going up against people who were way too high level for us. Like they had plus 20s to hit. These
Yeah.
guys had like plus 12s to their will saves against his spells.
Yeah.
And Jesta wouldn't let me have a bomb.
Yeah, you
Or lift
don't
heavy
have the
stuff.
physical strength. You don't have the physical strength to lift a torpedo. Sorry.
Aw, dang.
Darn.
So instead of him blowing up and saving Ashera, Ashera just was like, no, I must fight this evil man.
Yeah.
And our friend Tavis isn't really built for battle. He wasn't
Yeah.
sure what.
Tavis was just sitting on the sidelines going, Yay!
Pretty much.
Don't hit me! Yay!
I kind of
Please don't hit me.
assume in the fiction that Tavis was probably shooting at random Hell Knights and mercenaries and stuff. You know, I just assume that he probably, being sort of like the least handy combatant, wasn't making all that much headway.
Yeah, but
So
Well, he did
then
help. I mean, she did live one extra round.
yeah,
because of
Yeah.
him.
oh,
yeah.
yeah,
Keep
Tavis,
running around.
Tavis did try to give her back some stamina points. So yeah,
If you could have
Tavis,
done that like 40 times, she might have lived.
Right, every turn, just giving her back her stamina. Like, don't
And-
die.
I thought I was going to get to blow myself up, so I wasted my last 3rd level spell slot on Fear instead of Mystic Cure, but it seems like it wouldn't have mattered either way.
Yeah.
But,
Well, she might have had a chance to survive if the ship were to part of the, the rounds
Well,
won a couple more.
here's the thing. And then he was like, hey, I can survive in space. Let me go and get her and bring her back. And this dumb Texan
Right.
robots,
Oh,
I can't
that's
let you
actually-
do that, sir.
That's actually a really good thought. How do you feel about Nahir's orders?
Oh, he is very resentful.
oh no, and I would say
Like
that
there's probably a moment after the credits where he like just goes up to Nahir and like
yeah.
no fear is like, you let her die
yeah, and
because I could have gotten her and you would just let her die.
well, and I think that that's probably part of the interesting part of the dynamic with Ashera's death and the way things are set. There's even the dynamic between the NPCs and each other is going to change for season 3. So
Because I hate to say it, but other than like Shabah,
they didn't all
Ashera
have
was
yeah.
Shab or other than Shabah, Ashera was Ezzy's favorite person on the crew.
Yeah,
They got
Yeah.
along really well because they were both Castrovillian. Like
Wow.
she was the one who she didn't like him at first. She coined the term princess.
You are our favorite princess.
Oh yeah. By the way, for those of you who haven't been watching, he's princess.
Yeah, they don't call me Ezzy. They always just say princess.
yeah.
That's your nickname. It's like Gertrude's name is Duchess.
So, but I think that, and sure, you can back me up on this. I think that they pretty quickly got over their differences, especially on that 2-day trip that Ezzy got because Shabah spiked his drink.
Very much.
It was
Right.
just a little spike.
Just a little.
Yeah, just a little. You were just tripping for 2 days straight.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
He
Yet
saw
another
dancing
reason for the
pink
intervention,
cats.
Shabah. Dosing people for the first time is okay, only if they want to be dosed.
and yeah, that was that's
Words to live by.
yeah, and that colored the relationship between Ezzy and Shabah from the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was, which is funny because Ezzy has been assigned to Shabah's command for most of this, which has to be super awkward.
Oh, it was at first, but he quickly found out that Shabah's a party girl, but she's really smart.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
She may always be sunbathing half naked on top of the ship, but when you get her in combat, or you give her a computer to hack,
Right. She does it in the most unique of ways.
Yeah, so Ashera is like one of the few people on the ship that he has a real good rapport with, other than like Nurks and Shabah. He's gone. He's like, what do I do now? My family's already breaking apart, and I'm gonna die. And he probably
Well-
resents Rek a little bit too,
Well,
because Rek was the one that bear hugged him and was like, I can't let you do that, sir.
I can't
Right.
let you do this.
Right. But Wreck of all people on the ship would explain it to you once you got inside too.
yeah,
He'd be like, look, well, you do the voice. You're better.
we'll do that flashback scene. Get to that flashback scene, but
Okay.
yeah, the wreck. Everybody on the ship saw the end of that very differently. Like it,
Mm-hmm.
not just the PCs, but the NPCs. They don't all have one conformed, uniform view of how that whole thing went down. They all have very different priorities and very different things going on.
And Ezzy saw it as she's down, but she's not dead.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but you know, from a mechanical perspective, you as a player know that, but the characters don't know that necessarily.
Well, Ezzy, I'd like to think, would have an inkling of that just because because he got made ship doctor.
Right.
He's like, if I can get a hold of her, I can maybe save her.
Yeah.
Baby.
The yeah, and I think we can go from there. And let's go to our newest member of the Fire Shrike, Tavis Deme, our diplomat who joined about
Baby.
joined
We've grown so much.
joined towards, I don't know, it was right after the second half of, like, maybe 3 or 4 episodes after Ezzy officially joined. Tavis Deme was joined, and we found him on that planet that everybody woke up on, without remembering landing and whatnot.
True.
Tavis woke up in an abandoned facility where he thought he was in a town that had a number of people in it, and thought he was investigating some shady stuff, but he wakes up to find he's in a nearly abandoned complex and gets rescued by somebody. And let's talk about Tavis Deme, like race, class, who is he? You know, how did he come into the party? What is his impression of the crew of the Fire Shrike? How does he feel about the final moments of season 2, journey through the part of the season that he was on? So go ahead, floor is yours.
Yay. Tavis Deme is the third fucking Lashunta.
Second.
Yeah, because
right,
Ashera is
second.
an elf. Elves just happen to live on the same
Sorry, I
planet.
meant third person from Castrovel,
Yeah.
as he just so conveniently forgets.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
a Maya Lashunta as well.
I said that I meant like the bond that they had was they were from Castrovel. Our bond is that we're Lashunta.
Yeah, but I'm also from Castrovel, you jerk.
Yeah.
I'm technically
Right.
not.
This away
Saying that the
from me.
racial bond is stronger.
Yeah.
Jerk.
But yeah, so he is a tempered pilgrim, essentially a seeker of house altars. And the best way to do that was to become a diplomat / ambassador. So that's what he is. He's very high etiquette, very formal, hands clasped in front of him, stuff like that. Oh, that's a really long question.
That is a really long
answer question. So
let's get to that after you, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah,
we'll
let's-
table that. But Jesta, for after this, how was the crew of the Fire Shrike?
Yeah, I saw the question, and I will answer that, and I will also explain who these NPCs we keep referencing are. But I wanted to get to the characters first. But stay
Yeah.
with us. We will talk about how the crew was formed and who, what that means in a little bit. But go ahead, Tavis.
Tavis was sent by the Castrovelian government to get in contact with the Tabori cluster, find out what rumors were true and whatnot, and try to make sure that they weren't about to form a union, because you know how corporations hate union.
Yeah.
True, even in the future.
Tavis is the union buster.
Slef hates that.
No, that's not what he was doing personally. Where he met some priest guy named Callum of the Open Hand, and that was all. This whole thing that apparently none of it seemed to have really happened. He went
You
into a
ate Bad
building.
Space Carl's Jr.
Pretty much, he went into a building on this planet because he heard screams, and then
Sucker.
woke up and the
Was
building was
Ezzy.
old and decayed, and the whole city was gone essentially. And there were giant space eels coming after him, and that's Rex Tolak, because there's Rek and then Rex, who is an NPC, came and rescued me. And then Fire Shrike picked me up because I saw 2 what looked like abandoned ships. I was running towards them like, I gotta get in there before these giant eyes of mountains kill me. And then the
And then
whole
suddenly-
crew comes out with guns ablazing, like pointed at me. I'm like, shit, okay. And so I was captured by the Fire Strike.
At day 385, I'm still not sure if I'm a prisoner. They keep paying me, so maybe I'll work for them. I'm not sure.
I'm still at 0 credit.
Yeah. I haven't even paid him for being my
Yeah.
my new agent after I fired him and told him to go choke on a chicken bone.
This guy.
So for a while, he felt like a prisoner, but he wasn't treated like one. He wasn't given full access, but he got used to it eventually and started wanting to help out as much as he can. And so after seeing this crazy crew do so many things, he did the best thing he could do was become as these agents and point of contact for the outside world to try to keep kind of like a rumor mill going as well. It was a good way to keep track of what's going on the outside. People would be like, "Oh my god, oh my god!"
Yeah.
And as the newest member, you also can go do things without being caught by the cops.
I was like one of the few people that could just leave the ships, just wander around a town and not.
Right, but then people like Ashera decide they're gonna go shopping anyway.
Yeah.
I always look for weird shops.
We
Don't judge
tried
me.
to do a
No, it was that whole, we're gonna send the 2 newest people to go do stuff while we're here so we don't get caught. You know what? I need some fucking stuff.
I don't care.
You never
That's
got
true.
that
The
book,
lady
by
was
the
like,
way.
aha,
For-
I know you. And look, there's another one of you right in front of you.
For
Yeah,
the,
and then well, I would never caught her if I hadn't gone out.
for the viewers, Ashira's disguise was either the equivalent of putting on some glasses and a fake nose, or just like putting her hair up in a bun. It was something so basic with like what'd you get, a 3?
She rolled
No,
she got
I
like a
rolled
15.
good.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
The
I was-
reason
Yeah,
the whole
The
reason
joke
she
is
got
that I
caught-
always say that they just put on Groucho Marx glasses.
Okay. See, I have
They-
bad memory. I remember
No.
someone rolled really low.
That's it.
No, she got caught in that instance mostly because she passed out and they were arresting this other person and they were like, she passed out, let's just take her too.
Yeah, and then they did blood tests. It fucked me right there.
Yeah. And then they did like genetic scans and stuff. And
That open. Sorry, I just realized something in Steam opened up. That was weird.
um,
I think I hit enter to type something and I Steam whatever. No mods in my chat, random. Oh.
Don't read that out loud.
So
Way to
yeah.
go, Daniel.
Jesus.
So anyway,
Focus.
Sorry,
Sorry,
Focus.
I'm looking at my notes. Okay, I've been taking notes.
One of my favorite things
True.
that's happened was the day that Tavis realized that we were technically bad people.
Yeah, so that happened pretty early.
Wait,
But
what's going on? You're gonna do what?
Yeah,
Fuck, what do I do? I'm
you
just gonna be quiet.
he got to know Rec 17, who was his original prison guard for the short time, and then he got to know Qualu, and he got to know the rest. And then there was jokes about him and a 15-year-old girl that for some reason kept going, despite the fact that the captain spent way more personal time with her than Tavis ever did.
Not jokes.
Whoa, I'm a father. I'm allowed to do that sort of thing.
Anyways, he was shown pictures of gray aliens.
Yeah.
Apparently real.
Tavis lost his mind. He found out grays are real.
Yeah.
mhm.
All named.
He was just like,
Right.
"But that's a myth." Huh, really? Here's me with one.
And
That's
then
Space Carl's Jr.
after a short time of being on the Fire Shrike, the captain was like, "We're gonna do training exercise," and he put Ezzy and Slef, and you guys heard that. And then he was like, "Huh, Tavis," and I was like, "No, I'm good. Don't make me fight me." And then he's like, "You and Shabah."
Yeah.
I
Well,
was
no,
like-
Shabah challenged
that.
him.
Oh, it was Shabah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shabah was like, "Nope, you're up against me," and everybody was like, "She is a captain. She's a prerogative."
Yeah, so
I'm like, yeah, go ahead. It'll be fun.
we
It was.
that's what it was. We go out there, and she's like, "All right, take a shot." She's like, "Take another shot." I take a shot. So 2 rounds have gone by, and then she's like, "All right, I'm taking my shot," and she just fireballs me down to just dead almost.
Yeah.
I-
Shabah is the queen of first impressions at this point.
Yes, she is.
He had enough med packs to heal you back to whole. It was fine.
Yeah. So Tavis's impression of Shabah is that
She's-
Captain Zai is free going and relaxed, and not at all a good captain in that regard. A great captain otherwise. Nahir is very. I'm sorry. This is Tavis's.
No,
Nahir,
go
No,
ahead.
go ahead.
Nahir is a very restrained like proper soldier, good in almost any circumstance, because he's only here is like, oh, these are my rules, I'm following them. This is my command, I'm following. Same with Qualu, as we all saw when Qualu tried so desperately to contain Shabah, and Shabah blew him out there. Well,
What's the hole in the side of the ship?
the new airlock.
The new and not so improved airlock.
I don't know how you can compare the two of us.
Ezzy is a conundrum, very emotional, dying. What?
That's rough.
Oh,
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're good.
You got it
Ezzy
back?
is emotional.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're good.
Awesome.
And then let's see. I think Nurx is interesting and a curiosity most. Definitely a great cook, as we've all learned. And Ashera, well, Ashera's dead, so it doesn't matter anymore. Ashera
I'm gonna come back and haunt your ass.
Wait.
was extravagant and wild, but
I'm
also
Too
refined.
late, I heard it beyond my grave.
Beyond the grave.
I'm rolling over.
I am the conundrum.
Yeah. You're a Demaya Lashunta, which are these like highly intelligent, refined beings, and you are out there being a pop star and dressing extravagantly, and it's different. Not bad. It's just not what he's used to.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
he's
you got a
just like,
secret crush on me. I get it.
No, that's quality. Sorry.
I get
He
it.
crushes on quality.
There are a whole lot of crushes on the Fire Shrike, honestly.
Oh yeah, Ashera and Nurx.
No,
And
that was
Nurx
just
and Slef Slef.
that was
Yeah,
got it right
by
there.
the way,
Hold on, pause. Time out. No, stop it. No, it was. Oh, that was only for the one shot, you ass hats.
No, there have been some weird moments since that one shot
There
where we're
have.
like,
It's totally
No.
a ship.
No. There's no
Yeah,
elven
so
goblin.
it's an official ship.
No,
Just
not
kept track of
happening.
relationships on the crew.
Oh my god.
Captain Zai is a matchmaker more than a corporate entity, if we look at it that way.
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like Tavis with his sense mode probably have a better handle on this than the rest of you. You would know that's just the guys joshing around with Nurx, and you'd be able to tell. No, there's no. That's a friendship. You know, you'd actually be able to. They're not going to be able to fool you on that one because that's what you do for a living.
Yeah,
You
he
know.
definitely picked that
Or
up.
no, not one shot. Like, well, I mean, it was a one shot, but
it
it
was
was
the
alternate reality.
with a
Yeah.
black download.
The alternate reality.
Yeah, but he wasn't there for that, so
Yeah.
you're good. Even I wasn't there for that, I should say.
Yep.
You're good.
It was fun.
That's the wrong notes. I forgot there's a giant gap. We really didn't do much. There was a really high amount of tension internally with him when we were discussing the blowing up that cargo ship and just saying, hey, you guys can either take your escape pods or we're going to blow you all up. And that's what Captain Zai was all like, yeah, we're doing this.
Oh, wait. That wasn't it. It was either
which we never
go
did.
to my planet and be safe, or we have to kill you.
Yeah, and we never did. And
Well, no, because the ship blew up, and now we're here.
But yeah, and then let's see who else or what else. We went to Ashera got captured. We rescued her. We made that deal with that lady, which Tavis is definitely was like, hey, we could totally take her down. I'm using this hoe for as long as I can, and then I'll take her down. And Tavis is like, I kind of respect that, but I don't respect innocent people. But we'll get through that.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe.
let's talk about this. This does kind of that, and we mentioned this the last supper, like the last dinner they had together before shit got crazy. We mentioned this to a certain extent. That there was a lot of tension in that, not just because of the stuff with Slef and Shabah, but there was also like a lot of moral question about like what the plan was, how they were going to take on their next mission. And we really got to see the difference in what everybody's characters were willing to, what all the different crew members were willing to do in service of, their overall goals. Slef obviously is willing to do many, many, many things nobody else is. But we
He's
also
willing to
saw
do
that.
pretty much anything.
But
Yes,
we saw
that's
that.
kind of evil.
But we also saw. Well, we also saw that both Rek and Tavis they're not willing to cross certain lines, and that the captain would prefer not to cross certain lines, but if he has to, he will. And Ashera just was very cold-blooded in that whole thing. It was a
Kill them all.
very strong moment there,
Yeah.
just fucking kill him.
Also, she threw a knife at Slef.
Yeah,
I
she did.
did. I did.
It hit onto the wall. It was Slef didn't even flinch because he
For
knew.
the record, I aimed for the wall. Let's just get shit.
No, exactly.
Oh,
Slef didn't flinch because he knew that she was going to aim for the wall. She wouldn't directly shoot, or she wouldn't directly Slef.
Yeah. Right on. Cool. Well, I think I should probably answer the question of how the crew of the Fire Shrike came together. The crew of the Fire Shrike started off, and there's a little bit of meta history in too. When Starfinder first came out, Captain Volvetto, Chris, and myself, we started playing it locally because we wanted to test out the system. And it was just the two of us. I was running, and we had several NPCs and whatnot. And the basic beginning of it was they inherited the ship from a former Kasathan war hero who got killed in the mission, and he was dying of something called Jalek's disease, which he pretty much said, hey, find a cure for this. And the original crew of the Fire Shrike took off and did a bunch of missions and stuff. Eventually, I said, you know what? We started talking, and we said, this game would be a lot more fun if we actually had a crew of people and an actual group. And I said, you know what? I'm streaming on this channel, and we can bring this to the table because I'm sure I've got some people who would be willing to play it. So we did, and we introduced several characters, some of whom aren't with us anymore. Fraction was a isekai pilot that was there for a total of the first session.
I
that was
forgot about
online.
him.
Yeah, he
I
was there for
didn't.
the first session on the episode when we first started.
Yeah,
doing
man, you missed
Starfighter.
out.
And Brian joined us on that episode too with Shabah,
Yes.
which was awesome.
And we've never regretted it since.
No, never.
She
and
was so innocent then.
Yeah. Shabah started off as a very innocent character, because the captain put out a call for crew members, and we pretty much said, these are the player characters are the one that joined. We had an android mystic named Ares and a isekai pilot named Rumblebladder who also joined. They eventually left the group, but Slef Slef joined at the same time as Shabah, and from there.
I was there session 2.
Yeah, you were there. Okay, you were there the second session.
Yeah,
so.
I'm the second longest member of Fire Shrike.
Yeah, because you couldn't make the first one for whatever reason.
Yeah. I think I was sick.
Scheduling.
Something like that.
And we had, and from there, it started building. We started adding other players. I talked to Codex, who's a friend of mine in real life, outside of game and whatnot. And I knew she was a streamer, and I said, hey, we're doing this thing, and we're streaming it. And I know you and I have talked about games and being gamers before. Would you be interested in joining? So Ashera joined the group so much as when we brought in Ashera, there had been a big overarching story where the Fire Shrike was beefing with another pirate crew, and Ashera joined the crew with the NPC Nurks because the captain, in a duel with the other ship captain, got his ass kicked, but the Pirate Council awarded him a ship, which they came with. And Ashera and Nurk sort of joined the crew. And down the line in season 2, as Ares and Rumblebladder couldn't make the commitments anymore, we had James, Knightheart joined us because he'd started on the channel, and we said, let's give it a test run. Let's see, if you like it, if you want to fit into the mix and whatnot. And we started with Elijah Prosov, who was a guest star character for a while. And we decided we liked having James around enough that we figured we'd just keep him. So he brought in.
Aw.
So Ezzy, as we described earlier, joined when a group of space rockers who are known to the Fire Shrike, the keepers of the secret, drunk driving, crashed into his shuttle and destroyed it. And they took him aboard, but they annoyed him so much that when they came across the Fire Shrike and the Spitfire, he was willing to make a deal to get off the ship with the keepers of the secret.
Right. Ezzy's first sin was theft.
And
Hey, I think they really were either too stoned to care or just wouldn't care.
or they just had so much it didn't matter and they wouldn't know.
They're rock stars. Yeah. A
Did
bag
we
of
really that
drugs
much
to rock-
last night? All right.
All
Yeah.
right.
All right, we did that whole backpack full. Sure, that was.
Or remember we punted the dwarf out to space. Is he okay?
I don't remember quite what we did last night. Oh wait, I think
Drugs, that's right.
that's tonight. We did a bunch of drugs. So Ezzy joined the group as sort of like trying to get away from these space rockers who annoyed the shit out of him, and ended up going to Broken Rock, which is like the headquarters of all the space pirates, the group known as the Free Captains. The
Like-
Fire Shrike is a part of.
Like immediately after he got
Yep.
after he got picked up.
Yeah, immediately after getting picked up, he's taken to the headquarters of all the asteroid quarters of all the pirates. Whereupon he got dosed.
Bit of a culture shock too.
So the
Right.
the crew has sort of evolved over time. NPC wise, Nahir Tova Jafin is longtime friend and the only original member of the crew from pre-stream days left. He is a Kasathan soldier who's very, very much about order and discipline. He's very traditional. He does not he does not uncover his face at any time. In fact, no one outside of the captain has probably ever seen him eat or drink anything. In so much as he just doesn't, because Kasathans keep their masks on the lower half of their faces, and they always do unless they're around friends or at least other Kasathans. This
We
is
have
part
another
of
character. We have another character on the ship that does a similar thing, or did.
Who
Well,
was that?
Ashera.
Ashera being an elf that shows her face.
here's where we talk a little bit about the culture of some of these races. Both elves and Kasathans don't show their faces to people outside of their own race traditionally. Kasathans limited to the lower half of their mouth, the lower half of their faces and whatnot. Elves have full masks because, well, elves
They're
are pretty
jerks.
racist. They're pretty racist against everybody. But part of originally Nahir made Zai's character makes sense, and he's kind of, we always joke about him being the other half of Zai's character because one, Zai is not very organized, and you have to be organized to run a ship, so it makes sense. Plus, there's a long backstory about they're both exiles, and they were exiled together for an incident, which we have not gotten too deep into, which we may explore in the future.
Believe it or not, Captain Zai is actually a scholar before he was ever a captain.
In fact, his life trajectory was
Bullshit.
originally going to be completely different from what it is. He was going to be a cleric of
A
sorts.
high-level cleric.
Yep, he was but instead he got exiled because of
That
something.
by far is actually my favorite part about Kasathan history is,
Mhm.
hi, we have a piece of everyone's brain that has ever existed, this Kasathan, since the gap.
Yep.
And if you need to talk to them, make an appointment.
We can. The Kasathans literally save a slice of the brain of every Kasathan that dies and put it in a library. And Zai was originally going to do something was going to originally be part of the
librarian.
organizations that do that, except he got exiled.
Very Eldar of them.
And there's the as far as the other NPC crew members, you hear Nurx referenced a lot. Nurx is a very punk rock goblin girl who listens to punk rock, dresses steampunk, has no problem flipping people off, cussing like a sailor.
Wait. Say it in her voice.
Where's the fucking rum? Is an alcoholic. It is an alcoholic and brews the alcohol for the ship.
Yeah, she's a master brewer at this point. It's great.
Is an ace pilot and is just sort of the group's sort of like sarcastic voice quite often, and close friend with Ashera because they share history.
Yeah.
They've been working on shit. They worked on the Spitfire before it was the Spitfire.
It was the Hornet, something Hornet.
It was the Black Wasp or something, I think, but the Ebony Wasp. And they've worked together for a very, very long time. And she's very much the sass of the NPCs. You've also got.
I decided my favorite moment. It was definitely when Nurx had thrown a fit over thinking that it was Slef Slef that was the reason that she was back on the other ship. And I got on the motorcycle with an angry goblin that has a death wish in the first place. And I decided to do Superman while she was jumping over stuff.
See, she's more of an adrenaline than having a death wish.
Right. Well, you say that when you're on the back of the motorcycle.
She's reckless. And there's Rek, who is, he is a sentient robotic organism, which means he is a robot with sentience. He's a bit of a cowboy, a do-gooder.
A bit.
He's a do-gooder.
And he's actually another one of the characters from Captain Zion Here's Past. He was on missions with us back in the day.
Yep, back when they were serving as mercenaries. Yep, that's why they recruited him, is because they needed more help in security, and they here called him.
Rek is the, typical, I'm always a good friend.
Yeah.
I'll do whatever you need me to, even if it's a little bit, I'll do it, but I have a line, and if you go past that, well, we're not going to be friends anymore.
Yeah, and Rek, quite often, Ashera trained him to make the coffee on the Spitfire, because she was constantly angry when there was no coffee made. Because Rek 17 is such an amazing, good guy and wants to make people happy, he just started making coffee. And now, even if Ashera is not on the ship, he just does it as part of his routine. It's just a thing. So there's always.
I wonder if he'll keep doing it.
There's a fresh hot pot of coffee.
Yes, I assume that Rek is awful tore up.
Yeah. And Rek is a good soldier that he will do what he's told. And with Nahir being the chief of physical security, he answers to Nahir, and really kind of does a good job of it. Although
definitely, but he's still a soldier who has feelings because he is an SRO.
Yeah.
So he's still probably beating himself up, at least on the inside, because he followed orders because it was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But he still left a friend behind.
Oh yeah. And that's the and that's the fun part about it. And the newest NPC is Qualu, who is what's called a Patra, and they look like they're cat people basically. And they are, and he is an operative who is very much, he's very much the his world was taken over by by an empire of lizard people, and he's got a grudge about this.
Ooh,
and he has a big grudge about this, and he also he's very much a he follows his orders. He's getting past his I'm the new guy stage and being I'm supposed to be part of security, so that means I have a job to do, and that's what I do, is I do my job. But he's also he's made friends with Tavis, and his interactions with most of the rest of the party have been fairly, professional. He did have to test against Nurx, who beat him fair and square. And at the point, and where we're at here is the Fire Shrike coming into season 3, and I want to take just a brief glimpse forward. We're gonna just a bit of tease. We're gonna have a bit of a tease here as we go forward. When we come back, the crew is going to be in a very, very low place. They're still scattered. Several months have passed, and they haven't been able to reconnect. So none of the major, core, original, or second generation crew members outside of Nahir are actually on the ship. Everyone that's on there joined either at the end of season 1 or during season 2. So you're looking at the dynamics are going to change radically going forward. We've also talked about the Fire Shrike has a lot of enemies, and a few allies. They're wanted so badly in the Pact Worlds that they pretty much have to sneak in and go to Broken Rock, where that's their safe haven, and do business and then leave. Among their major enemies, you could call Dr. Talit a frenemy because they've worked for him.
Not a friend of mine.
His agenda has been, they've had an uncomfortable alliance with him. He's been an enemy, he's been a friend, more or less, at least politically.
Yeah,
and the reason this is
annoyingly has power.
And the reason this is important is because one of the major enemies the crew of the Fire Shrike has made is named Janice. Janice. What?
McClare?
Janice McClare. Thank you. I don't know why I had a brain fart there. Janice McClare is a high-level executive with the Mastodon Mining Corporation that wants the Fire Shrike dead because they walked out on a contract on it.
I had my reasons.
You had your reasons. This is true. And Janice McClare.
Janice Griffin.
Janice
Griffin McClare.
Janice McClare, getting my fucking Family Guy and my fucking Starfinder mixed up. I have no fucking idea. I don't know why.
You really are.
I'm discombobulated. Janice McClare, in the background, she's somebody who really has a grudge against the Fire Shrike, and she's got a lot of power. She's got a lot of flex. She's got the resources of a major corporation behind her. She's also part of the reason things are in upheaval in the Tabori cluster and the surrounding areas.
She's a lot of the reason for that, and I blame her for the Hell Knights. And one of these days, Captain Zai's going to show up in her office and pimp slap her.
She's very definitely. So she's definitely always on Zai, at the very least. So
yeah, the two women that I think about most are her and oh god, I lost him. What's his name's sister? The one that's trying to kill him.
Yeah, fucking Jesta Steel Shadow.
Yeah, Jesta. I was getting there. I have notes.
They also count the Next Step organization, which are cybernetic terrorists, as enemies.
That reminds me, Shabah, when's the last time you called your girlfriend?
When's the last time we actually had free time in the back world?
That's true.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
They have friends. They have a friend in Zaraht, who is a Dro Elf free captain, who is a weapons dealer more than he is a pirate, but he's still a pirate. He does a lot of weapons, and he's also dealt information. They've done business with him a few times and partied with him. Jesta Steel Shadow is important because she's his sister. She's also works for the Next Step organization. So she's a foil for them in a couple of different ways, and they haven't seen her in quite some time.
but she threatened my friend, so I don't like her either. Those are the two women I think about most.
She wants to kill the captain's friend. And on the frenemies list, there is one captain, Vames Kiln,
Yeah.
who was a rival of Captain Volvetos throughout the first season, and because by decree of the Free Captains Council, they really just kind of had to settle their differences, and now they occasionally communicate and have some terse, some professional, if occasionally terse, relationship going on there. So when you talk about we're going into season 3, bringing in a lot. Some of it is kind of hard to cram in, but I hope this has been a really helpful jumping off point for people. I'm extraordinarily excited for season 3. I've had several conversations with different players about where their characters are at or where they're going to start at, what they've been doing in the interim. I'm very, very excited. Ezzy, there's going to be a lot of fun stuff going on with him that is really, really cool. Codex, we're bringing a mystery character to the fore. Brian's going to be taking a break from Shabah, as we don't know her fate currently, and bringing in a mystery new character.
That's the same as Tuesdays.
No kidding, eh?
Maybe Brian just has a lot of character concepts he wants to try.
Yeah.
We've got we'll see where we go with Slef Slef, because I've talked a bit with him about what's going on with Slef and where he's at, and I've still have yet to have a conversation with Tavis, because there's some very important things going on with Tavis, because he's Tavis and Ezzy. I really need to have conversations, because I'm really excited about what's going on with Ezzy, but there's some stuff going on the Fire Shrike itself that I want to talk to you guys about as far as the dynamics are concerned and what's been happening. And I think Captain Zaya and I have hammered a few ideas out as to what we're doing with Zai as we start off. I don't want to tell. I want to keep it compartmentalized until that first episode and we start following these threads, simply because I just want the value of the sort of mystery to keep everybody what's going to happen next.
Yeah, because honestly, when he told me the first, I was all like, I don't like you right now.
Yeah. Chris was the first one. Chris had that reaction of, damn it! I didn't want that to be the way it is.
What? No, I have stuff to do.
But we talked about some things that we've been talking about doing for quite a while, and we've kind of teased out here and there around the edges. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I think we've settled on. It's going to be, and I still need to talk to Brian a little bit more about his character, what he's bringing in, because we still have a conversation to be had about that. With that said, we are at 11:30, and damn, I gotta
say, this has been a more informative and I think a more participative.
Oh yeah.
Than for season 1, when we weren't really prepared because we hadn't done one yet.
Oh yeah.
I feel like this was a good one.
Oh yeah.
Well,
I thought it was a great one.
Yeah, and
listen, it's not a competition, princess.
Got him.
We definitely fill our time slot, and I love the fact, and there's still more we
didn't
even
get
say.
through all of it. Yeah, that's the thing.
There's still more we could say, but we definitely want to leave some stuff out there, and I hope this has really gotten some people a good jumping off point to be like, okay, now I know who these people are. I've got an idea of what things are going on. Stay tuned to find out.
Feel free to ask questions.
Yeah, if you are in chat and watching the show and whatnot, one of the big things that we have done is we have picked up a couple of extra people who can help us with running the show, one of which is probably going to make an appearance on some of our other stuff that we're doing and what have you, maybe a guest appearance here and there. But now that we have somebody who can run the stream while we're playing, there should be somebody in chat to forward questions along to us and to sort of like interact and answer a few questions that we can't answer while we're in the middle of things. And we're going to be definitely doing more as we progress and evolve the channel. We're already starting to see some of that. So stick with us. Fire Shrike Season 3 is coming back next Monday. It's going to be insane. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I
It'll be
think
epic.
it's going to be epic. It really is.
Epically
with
made,
that-
not ethically made.
Ha ha ha.
And with that said, I think we can do sign-offs and then get out of here. So let's start with Sassy. You're first up to the plate, man.
Bum, bum, bum,
Sorry.
bum, bum,
While
bum,
he's
bum,
doing
bum.
that, can you read your DM, Jesta?
I'm
Right.
on my phone.
Yeah,
right now.
Jester.
Wait, can you guys even hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. I'm using my phone right now because my internet just completely gone.
Oh,
Aw.
I'm SassyMcNasty. I play Tavis, and I will continue to play Tavis, unlike some people in this campaign apparently. Killing their characters. No, I'm just giving you crap. You kind of already heard all about me from this recap, so I won't go over all that. On Tuesdays, I play Susano, the ranger with a snake, the more down-to-earth voice of reason of the heart. Thursdays for Stram decks, you can catch me as Johan, the rogue with no concept of material value. And Saturdays for Jesta's grab bags, and also my own campaign periodically will be a Spark of Fate, where right now it's 4 people are all thrown into a world where they're going to be given challenges, and I'll have to see how they go about doing that. But yeah, that's me. I think I got everything.
Good.
Back to going into my
Awesome.
table I go. Whee!
all right, cool. So let's go on to James Knightheart.
Hi ho, friendolas. My name is James, also known as Knightheart, and you have just seen me. Well, no, you actually haven't seen. We just discussed how on Mondays I play as Lady Sorval, the sea pop star of the Heart of Gold, and the incurable case of the Space AIDS. You can also catch me here on Tuesday, in which I am the DM, the magnanimous, just all-around perfect dude who leads a bunch of crazies in a realm-hopping campaign known as Realms of Refuge. They are currently stuck in a realm of Fae versus machines, or so it says. And last week they had a ending cutscene of a giant angry robot spider threatening everybody. So can't wait to see how that develops out and what these guys do. You also find me here on Thursdays, where I am also a part of Stram Decks, where I get to play Syphil, the Tibbet, the boy who turns into a cat, and the cat turns into a boy, and is stuck with Heracles, who won't shut up about his many titles. But it's so far been a pretty fun campaign, and I can't wait to see where it goes in Dungeon Delving Adventures. And you also find me here Saturdays, at least for some of Jesta's grab bags. I am not part of the wrestling ones, but I am part of the Apocalypse World ones, Flesh and Fire, which we love so much. Get to play Knowing, the sociopath hardholder who just like murdered someone with his bare hands the other week, and that was fun.
I think you'd make a great manager for the beast.
And then I'm also going to be in a Spark of Fate, where I play a character called Marin Farcaller, a summoner. And by that I mean a sorcerer, but I do some neat role playing to just be like, I'm a summoner, totally. So come and see my many hats that I wear. And that's me.
Right on. Let's go on to Brian.
Yeah. Want to do a little picture of Shabah, what's exactly basically happening at the moment that the whole ship flipped apart. And basically, you see Shabah sitting against a bulkhead, sort of slumped down. Her armor is so badly wrecked. There's a crack in her helmet, and there's two sort of bulkhead doors shut. So she's sort of in between a hallway with the two bulkheads, and it's sort of just floating with the rest of the wreck. And she slowly looks at her wrist computer, and she basically just goes, crap. It's showing that there's only 30 seconds of air left in her oxygen tanks. And she slowly shuts her eyes, and it fades to black.
Awesome.
Nice.
Rip.
So Shabah's dead.
Oh, you don't know if she's dead.
Nope.
There's 30 seconds there.
And then
come
she
on, what
wakes
happened?
up with a crystal stranger who's like, yo, fight these angels.
Oh, yeah, You don't want Shabah in your Tuesday game.
I don't want Shabah in the Tuesday game.
No. Yes, I am Brian. I play Shabah Young, soon to be a undisclosed character coming up next week. We'll leave that for the stream then. Also, you can find me on Tuesdays playing Sakura. Oh, got to get my character straight here.
It's too many characters.
I do.
You need sticky notes, man.
Oh, then I wouldn't see my screen at all on my computer.
God.
But yeah, I play Sakura, the fun-loving pink hair halfling with the F-off boomerang that loves throwing it around and everything. And on Thursdays in Stramdex, I'm playing a Johnny, which I still not quite got the name committed to memory, but I will hopefully in the next... Kadra, thank you. Hadra.
That's right.
Hadra.
I remember my characters' names.
Well, thank you, sir. Yes, who very decidedly demonstrated on the very first day she met the party that she can take care of herself and get what she wants. And you can find me also on any of the one-shots if I can make it. That all depends on life schedules, of course. And yeah, that's about it.
Right on. Then let's go on to Captain Volvetto here.
Hi, I'm Captain Zai. This is Retrospective number 2 for season 2. And we thank you all for being here. It's been nice to see such huge numbers of people watching us.
Yeah, ridiculous.
And yeah, we'd like to thank you all for being here. We are normally foul-mouthed and talk about, random things, but we really have a lot of fun doing this. Jester puts in a ridiculous amount of work for us, and even though sometimes we hate what he does, it still makes this interesting. And that's why it's lasted 2 seasons.
Big agree.
I appreciate all these people showing up and actually playing with us. For a long time, we just couldn't get anybody to stay past the first session, and which was really annoying because I really do like this system. It's got some quirks, but every system does. And I mean, it's cool enough I bought all the books, and I don't normally do that. My friend Purple Codex sells t-shirts at tpublic.com. They are awesome t-shirts, and if you like coffee, she sells coffee mugs too. Ashera drinks coffee, buy coffee mugs. And Purple Codex merchandise is...
Purple Codex merchandise. Epically made, not ethically made.
Tonight's episode, in fact, was brought to you by Boards, Booze, and Bitches. It's food worth dying for. And for those of you that don't know, Boards, Booze, and Bitches is a trans-dimensional dive bar chain. And it's been around since the first episode, and it exists in at least 4 different timelines.
I need to remember to put it in my campaign.
Alright.
Maybe there's a busted down one in this ruined world. You guys are just walking around, you see a fucking ruined horse, booze, and bitches, and you're like, that place is probably kick ass.
And tonight's episode was also brought to you by Naughty Nina's Porn Emporium.
If you want it, then you seen it.
Naughty Nina's. Woo! All right. And that's the end of mine. And on to Purple Codex. That is actually part of tradition, folks.
It is.
If I do it right, Codex laughs every
I
time.
can't help but giggle. I've known him, oh God, since I was like 15.
Well, the funny thing is he does this even when you're not a part of the stream. Even
I
in
love
games that you're
it.
not. Even,
Yeah,
we
on
did that-
Saturdays when we
Yep.
play, I also talk you up.
yep, he does.
It was funny because you were talking about Purple Codex, and I just got my Purple Codex mug in the mail, so I was showing it off while you were saying.
Sweet.
I wish you could have a product that on it says epically made, not ethically made.
I feel like they wouldn't print that.
Oh
I feel
no,
like
honey!
she's
I don't know
probably
if
right.
you know it, but
Oh, they print. They'll print.
Yeah, they print the F word. If they'll print the F word, I'm pretty sure that's fine.
I feel like that, but no, man, because then it's saying that their shit is printed like, but it's made like that. So that's like, that's a line right
yeah.
there.
Yeah, I was gonna say exactly. They don't want people to be thinking
That's
T
bad
public stuff
publicity,
is
bro.
not ethically.
I want you to submit a design that's just that. I bet it's okay.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I can almost guarantee you. But whatever the case.
Anyway, go ahead and talk.
Okay, I am Purple Codex. If you haven't figured that out. I'm here every Monday with these guys. Now, that said, my character just died.
Woo!
So we'll have a mystery when we come back for season 3. What, next Monday?
Yep. Next Monday.
Next Monday, season 3 beginnings. Woo!
Also,
No.
if you guys didn't know, James is racist against elves.
That's
I'm
true.
more of a dwarf
For the
man
record,
myself.
earlier, let me clear something up. Okay, earlier we were talking about how all elves are super racist. Ashera is not super racist. She
No.
is
Oh, yeah.
everything against everything that she's been brought up. You know, she is
She's
just.
Joan Jett in the 70s.
I am a rebel. I do not wear a mask. I do not care what race you are. I will. That's why my mother hates that I'm on this ship.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
She hates it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that woman threw a fit.
You're just doing it to be attention.
Yep.
Listen, she has isekai friends. You can't try and.
Yeah, she's like, why are you on this ship with these mongrels?
They don't even deserve to carry your luggage.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it came across. Anyway, that was a fun episode too. Anyway, yeah, that's all I got for today.
Right on.
Ladies and gentlemen, Purple Codex, brought to you by Giggles.
Who was also not ethically made.
Mike.
Oh,
Win
it's
5. It's
me?
yeah. You guys.
Oh, jeez. Oh, God. Yeah, hi, everybody. My name is Mike, also known as Mike. You can catch me on Mondays where I get to play Slef Slef, the level of a rat man. Really sad right now, guys. Ah. You can also catch me on Tuesdays where I get to play Tiff Libre, who's only mildly as sad as she was earlier. Now she's preoccupied and can't think about how all of her are dying. Hi. You can catch me on Thursdays where I get to run the Legacy. Let me get my own fucking game title right. Legacy of Stramdex, which is a dimension hopping game. Dimension hopping game where they're gonna fight in a big bad, not even present. But right now they're just a bunch of kids dream in a town without seeing. And I've got a bunch of players, very excited, been working on it for a while. Very glad we got stuff with it. You can catch me on Saturdays whenever I do Black Theater, or whenever Jesta does Jesta's Grab Bag, or whenever Daniel does Spark of Fate. And you can catch me on SoundCloud at SoundCloud/ThatHoon, all caps. That is ThatHoon, all caps. DhatHoon, all caps. Did you get it yet? Go to it. That's me.
Awesome. Well, that brings it back around to me. I am the Jesta King Zaraht. I run this crazy madness known as the Fire Shrike. It's my favorite crew of space pirates ever. And I've really enjoyed playing this and running this game. It's been fantastic. You can find me here on Monday nights where we co-stream with Purple Codex, so you can kind of find me here and there. So, you doing this. You can also find me on Tuesdays on Paro Dice Theater, whereupon I do it Drunken Bird style with my Drunken Master Pitiful. You can also find me when we do the Justice Grab Bag, which is sort of like a catch-all title for a bunch of like little one-shot mini campaigns and other errata with various games I like to I'm throwing out there, where we do Flesh and Fire, which is the Apocalypse World campaign. We did a session 0 creating characters for Legion class wrestling, where we will be playing Worldwide Wrestling, which is going to be bonkers as shit.
There.
And I won't be. I don't play Legend of Stram. I'm not in Legend of Stramdex. Sorry, words are hard. But I am probably going to be in Spark of Fate. I still have yet to figure out a character concept. Sorry guys, I've just uber fucking busy late with all kinds of craziness. And there's one other place you guys can catch me. I was promising it for so long. I was promising it, and yet I was not following through. But it's official. I have actually started streaming Heavy Rain on my other channel of Zaraht. I don't have a specific schedule for it, but you can probably catch the video of the first stream of it and subsequent videos, and I can tell you it'll probably be, around midnight-ish when and if I do it. So you can, it's not an if, I am going to do it. Because I want to do a Zaraht versus Heavy Rain and follow that with a Zaraht versus Detroit Become Human. That is the plan anyway. But with that said, we are, I think we're going to get out of here so we can have a quick meeting and, what?
Are we not going to vote for NPC award?
Oh, thank you for reminding me.
We
Everybody
did talk about it before game.
Everybody actually send me, I'm a space cadet. Everybody
Okay, bro.
send me send me your votes for the NPC MVP. It's a bit of a tongue twister because I want to know. I'll give
If you've
them
not
some.
discerned from this entire freaking episode, none of us are good with words.
Words are hard. Words are hard, and your season
I blame the
NPC
partying.
MVP. So
Haha, haha.
let's see.
What was it, Jesta?
Nerks. You're voting for what NPC you think was coolest throughout the season, and I will give them extra experience points.
Yeah, they don't get experience point bonus very often.
Yeah, they get some
twice a
base
season.
experience points to keep up with you guys, but they're not generally up for a player. They don't qualify for player's choice. So in order to keep them relatively close to you, I like to do the.
Otherwise, Nick here would get my experience a lot because I give it to him.
So, right.
I was higher level than everyone else. Captain
Because-
Zach doesn't take experience. No. But yeah, it's not allowed.
Uh-huh. Let's see. Oh, it's a two-way tie. So I will take the experience points, the extra 1,000 experience points I was going to give him because season ender thing, and I will divide it amongst the two winners. The two winners are Rek and Nerks.
Hey.
So
Yay.
I'm sorry, Qualu, I tried.
I know Qualu got a vote, so hey, you know what? I honestly, I'm I'm interested and excited that this is the way it broke down because Nahir is a badass, but I think you guys really. This also helps me measure which NPCs you guys are engaging with more or find more engaging. So I will give them the extra 500 XP each. So the NPC of this season will be shared between Rek and Nurx. Which is great because I'm gonna really love with what they're doing going into season 3.